Rakdos has returned to the Tainted Grail. This time, we are doing an Apostate run. Difficulty 16. We continue to ramp the difficulty up. I actually want to make a suggestion to the developers. It would be nice to have the difficulty levels elaborate a little bit more about what each difficulty number does. After, I think, 9 or 10, it just keeps saying final bosses, final enemies, final fights, and it doesn't really tell you what is making the monster stronger. I've come to realize that it is definitely armor. Could also be damage, but armor I have noticed increasing with every single difficulty. So starting out here, we choose not to take a quest card. I strongly believe that the Apostate is better without any quests. No pets, no quests. They need as many maneuvers as they can get their hands on, and then just a couple select damage dealing cards. The Apostate is not my favorite of the classes in Tainted Grail, that's for sure. I thought that I would like them based on their playstyle and how they combo off and essentially go infinite with their damage. That's very much my playstyle in other card games. But in Tainted Grail, especially after experiencing the speed of the Necromancer turn 1 kill, it's just too slow. It takes way too long. Before recording this, I played one Apostate run. Unlike before I recorded the True Necromancer video, I felt I had a handle on this class way sooner. They are not complex at all. They are very straightforward. You pretty much just click the cards that are 0 cost until you run out of energy, and then deal as much damage as you can. That is the basic idea of how the Apostate work. They have the ability to go infinite or near infinite, the easiest, I would say, out of any of the classes in the game. And they ramp up damage incredibly quickly. Their single target damage is outrageously strong. Probably the strongest, but I haven't played enough of all of the classes to say that for sure. So this is our second run, and not going to lie, we're a little frustrated. You're going to see us play rather slowly, and you're going to see us make some mistakes. We make even more mistakes as we go, and this is primarily because we just finished our first Apostate run. And I realized that not only is this not my favorite class, this is probably my least favorite, because the amount of time that it took to end the first run was inexcusable. And the amount of time that this run took is also inexcusable. But I had a different attitude in the second half of the run. Well, let's say the second 2/3 of the run than I had in this moment. I just got done beating the secret final boss and was not excited to do this again, truly. But I feel like the Apostate is the class that people will want to see be played next to the Necromancer. Seeing a true Apostate video, exactly how to build them, exactly what they're capable of, and a video where they score rather high on the scoreboard of the secret final boss. I feel like people would want to see that. So I make a pact with myself that I'm going to do this, regardless of how much I dislike this class, and really put a lot of effort into it. I am very excited to bring this video series to you guys because I'm very proud of myself. I had a attitude adjustment. I changed my mentality and my mindset, and I scored very high. against the secret final boss. So super pumped to see us get to that point, but just a heads up, at first we struggle. So some basics about the Apostate. They do not discard their maneuvers when they use them. They're the only class that does this. The maneuver instead flips and remains in the hand. This allows you to have turns where your hand is full of maneuvers and damage dealing cards, and you have a massive array of options on what to play. At first, this can seem rather daunting, but the cards inside of the Apostate deck innately let you abuse energy. And the cards in the base deck, with just a couple Apostate talents, allow you to go near infinite with your damage ramping combos. So it's not hard to get off the ground with this class. Just a couple removals and a couple additions to your deck. I would say one of the strongest cards that you can add to your deck in this class is Overdraw, I think is the card. And it gives you 100% damage on the turn that you play it. And the backside of it gives you 200% damage for the turn that you play it. So it just continuously amps your damage. Our very first card choice here, and we're really confused. Like I said, we're not in the greatest mindset. And the thing that confuses me is the Apostate's level 20 masteries. Once they hit max level, they have a choice between two masteries. And I found it so frustrating at the end of the last Apostate run that neither of these masteries did anything for my deck. Normally, level 20 is a pretty big power spike. Well, level 21, let's say. But for the Apostate, both options that you are presented with seem incredibly niche and very reliant on either using quiver cards, which my first Apostate run did not, and removed all quiver cards from the deck, or using maneuvers that deal damage. And I found this to also be challenging in this class because typically at the end of your turn, you're going to be discarding all the maneuvers in your hand. So you won't have a handful of maneuvers to deal damage with. I can definitely see ways that you could pull it off, but I found it to be much of a stretch to build around either of these two premises. As I said, I removed all the quivers in my first run, but here I'm highly considering trying to use quivers. So I'm thinking, which quiver can I use? Let's try Spiritual Flurry. And then our first passive skill that we are offered. This is a really tough choice. All three of these are good in their own right, and I have to decide which one is going to be strongest for me overall, of course. I don't really like Can't Stop, primarily because it doesn't duplicate the 20th card and the 30th card and the 40th card that you play, or that you flip, my apologies. Just the 10th. Other duplication effects trigger off of every multiple of their number. Some of them do, at least. I know the rune that I've been using quite frequently, the Year rune, specifically does. So it's between Smoke and Mirrors and Ancestral Strength. 5 armor, 5% damage reduction. Seems pretty strong, but I plan to be flipping 20 cards a turn, 30 cards a turn. I think that it's better to run the Ancestral Strength here. I think we're going to be getting way more damage out of it than the 5 armor reduction. I eventually pull the trigger. But I also wasn't happy being offered 3 very good passives in my first passive offering. Another thing that kind of furthered me down the track of frustration here. The other thing is that the enemies are very, very armored in this difficulty. So although my character's upgraded, it really doesn't feel that much different than when I first started. At least in the beginning. Once the power comes online, then you definitely notice a difference. And you do feel much stronger than you did when you first started playing the game.
Leaving you face to face with a monster. It's hard to say if it used to be a human, an animal.
We run into this event for the first time. I'm carefully reading, really appreciating the look of that monster over there.
Yet nothing in your body works.
Looks like something out of my games. As is custom with me and this game, I always make the wrong choice first. I always make the wrong choice first. Why? It seems that way every single time. Can't walk through there and realize that to even get to it, I would need to take the treasure hoard fight as the second or third fight in the area. And I think to myself, nope, that's probably not a good idea. So now I need to circle all the way back around and change my pathing. Not the worst thing in the world because I still haven't popped a candle. So we're not burning any light, but running all the way back around. Yeah, see, this enemy starts with 50 armor. That is something that they could definitely let you know in the difficulty number, the difficulty, like, explanation. Other games that have ascension levels, difficulty levels, corruption levels do a very good job at explaining what every single level does. They're fully transparent. They need to let you know what you're up against. I know that Tainted Grail isn't exactly like them and is kind of doing its own thing, but you cannot hurt by being more transparent. And so what you'll notice me doing here is really relying on the runestone calc. This is going to let me draw 1, 2, or 3 additional cards in turn 1 and reduce their cost by 1. That's so important with the Apostate, and I would say that calc is a must-have in your weapon slot. You really want to play as many maneuvers as you possibly can. Specifically on turn 1, you want to be able to fill up your ultimate gauge on turn 1, play a ton of maneuvers, get a huge damage bonus because you get damage bonus from playing your cards, damage bonus from flipping, damage bonus from activating your ultimate. And then once your damage bonus is outrageous, those 0 energy shot cards that are currently dealing 10 to 20 end up dealing hundreds, thousands, 10,000 damage, some cases. The additional percent damage that you can get on this class is unrealistically high. I don't think it's spoiling anything by telling you that in the secret final boss, I get the bonus damage to easily 50,000%. So let that sink in. Alright, so back to what we're doing, collecting the milestones. Still not ready to fight the treasure fight. We're going to take all the fights on this left-hand side first. We have plenty of candlelight. We're going to take them all in the light and try to snowball from here. Now these rhino creatures on the right really are giving me a problem with this higher level difficulty. As you could see, he started with 70 armor. That's almost max. And if you don't have a really good way to reduce the armor or just trivialize that enemy, he can end up taking way too long to take down. And you end up taking a lot of damage from the summoner and the shaky abomination guy over there. The meat pincushion. When you activate your ultimate, you're going to flip all the cards in your hand and trigger all of your effects that trigger when you flip. And here in a couple fights, I'm going to explain really the general strategy of what you're trying to be playing each turn, the order of operations. Because the base deck definitely does have a flow to it and a strategy, a scheme to it that you're trying to employ. As you can see, those little shots are doing quite a bit of damage. I already, without having taken many fights, have been able to achieve 1,200% increased damage. That's the level of percent increased damage that my Lich had at the end of the True Lich series. So knowing the options at level 21, our maneuvers deal more damage or our quivers flip our cards, we are looking at maneuvers that deal damage with a high regard. I've never really played a maneuver that deals damage, but if this is the class that's supposed to use them, let me check out this card. Okay, I read through it. I think about it. Discarding all maneuvers seems rough because it will keep me from discarding the maneuvers to the card that I'm already using to do such a thing. So they'll compete. One card is going to discard all of the maneuvers, which will discard the other. So in no world can I ever do both. Order of operations for cards to remove. Smoke Shot, I would say get out of your deck first, or Bow Draw. But those are the two worst cards in your deck. There's no point in having Smoke Shot because it increases the enemy's armor. You might think, but wait, I want them stunned for one turn. No, you just want to kill them. Just like in all cases. The unfortunate thing about the Apostate is that they definitely have a way higher potential to kill all enemies in turn 1. Even higher than the Lich. It takes way less work for these guys to do it than probably any other class. But it takes way longer. Way longer. Like way, way, way longer. You have to think so hard about which cards to play. You have to be very careful, especially when you have duplicate abilities, not to duplicate the wrong maneuver. Because when a maneuver duplicates, it plays the other side. It doesn't just play the face side that you initially played. It plays the other side, and the more times you duplicate it, the more times it flips. So if you were to duplicate it twice, it would play the initial side, flip, play the back side, and then flip again and play the front side over again. Very strange. So yes, their victories take a very long time. We realize that pulling arrows from the draw pile will not pull arrows from the grave or from exile. That's very important to note when you're playing this faction. You cannot draw arrows that are not in your draw pile. So quivers need to be used very carefully. I initially did not like quivers before this run. This run made me like quivers and kind of understand them better. As you can see, our damage bonus in that turn 1 just was not good. Not good at all. That was not the start we were looking for. And with a start like that, we have a huge uphill battle. A Glimpse of Possibility. This is the card. This is the card you'll never remove from your deck. This is the card that you're going to probably hunt for and play over and over and over and over again every time that you can. Glimpse of Possibility is a card that I wish you could add to your deck in some way, but in some ways you kind of only need one. See how much better that turn was than the first turn? all because I drew Glimpse of Possibility. There it is again. I think you'll see me shoot straight towards it. Yes. It's so good. Just like the coffee I'm drinking. But yes, Glimpse of Possibility, both sides, very powerful. The side that's 2 energy allows you to draw 2 cards and reduce their energy cost, allowing you to play way more cards for free. Super powerful. The other side, the very powerful side, is 3 energy. You might think that's prohibitively restrictive, but not for this class. And what it does is it says all the maneuvers in your hand cost 1 energy less to activate this turn. So what ends up happening is you draw an entire handful of maneuvers, use your ability card, which always stays in your hand and lets you cast a maneuver for free with no energy cost, and then you cast the other side of Glimpse of Possibility. I think it's called Overwhelming Insight for free, and then pretty much your whole hand becomes free. And then you just keep doing that. You just keep doing that over and over and over and over as many times as you possibly can. We do take the Obscure Tavern fight. I have learned that since this fight is a timed fight, to just defend. There's no reason to waste brain power trying to deal 850 points of damage on a 50 armor target in 5 turns. You might get something special if you beat him. It might be some kind of quest. I would imagine it is, because this kind of doesn't make sense otherwise. Because he doesn't really deal a lot of damage. I think any class could easily defend against him indefinitely. And we're really realizing how bad that Desperate Act card is. Right now we don't fully realize it, but it becomes glaring here soon. I like Pebble Throw, but I do not like the other side of it, Distraction. Acid Shot is a great card. The only thing I don't like about Acid Shot is it costs energy, but it's got to cost something, because 50 armor till the end of combat is very good. I almost think about skipping because it costs energy, but I think that you need to take it because you need to reduce their armor. Their armor is too high, especially this high up in the difficulty. You need something to reduce. And I still am like, I think I skip. Like I said, I'm very tilted here. I don't know what to do. I even though the fights have been going pretty decently, after running through this last time, I'm like, oh gosh, this is going to be such a slog. You know, I'm dreading it. We look at our options here. We don't need armor because we're planning on winning. We decide to just draw additional maneuvers. Not even checking our rune inventory on those runes. We just keep plowing forward. We know how long this whole run's going to take, so we're like, gotta go, gotta go. Glimpse of Possibility got reduced by the cracked calc. I look at the one solution like, yeah, you're never going to get played. I play the Idea card to make my next card free. Now Overwhelming Insight is free. I play it. Now all of the cards that were 1 energy are now 0. So I go through and play them all, gaining the benefits of all of these flips and drawing extra cards. Look how much barrier I have created. If I can do this every turn, nothing can ever hurt me. This is enough barrier to block the final boss's damage every turn right now that I have created. As you can see, that energy cost of the Acid Shot is really rough when you get down to this point. Because you're like, I can't justify spending that 1 energy on just an Acid Shot. But we did manage to play enough to flip. And something important to note, if a card was 0 like you saw Stunning Idea was on the right hand side, and it flips to Idea, Idea goes to 0. So I can play Idea for the 0 that it was, and then play Overwhelming Insight again. And I get to play all of the maneuvers in my hand over again. This is the bread and butter combo. Use Glimpse of Possibility to draw a full hand. Use Idea to make the next maneuver you play free. Then use Overwhelming Insight to reduce the cost of all the maneuvers in your hand and go crazy. Once you've done that, use the flip ability of your ultimate. All of your cards will flip, and instead of having a Stunning Idea in your hand, you'll have an Idea that will be free. And instead of having a Glimpse of Possibility, you'll have an Overwhelming Insight because all of your cards will have flipped. So then you'll be able to Idea Overwhelming Insight one more time, at least. If you have other energy manipulation, well, you get where this is going. I take a good long time to inspect the model on this tree. I'm just in a weird mind space right now, and I need to look at that model intensely. And I think this is the fight. Yeah, this is the one that fully breaks me. I even get a great Tainted Force. Reducing the armor of the enemies is super good. But I am a human being, and everybody has limits. And after the last run of Apostate, jumping straight into here, just there was something that was off. I couldn't quite place it. And this fight just gets the better of me. But we get to watch it together and learn and see exactly how I could have done better. We didn't draw a Glimpse of Possibility, so we have to just Idea. And then we do draw Glimpse of Possibility, which is super, super strong. Desperate Act for free. We look at it and we look at the damage that it's dealing. Well, when would we ever play this? We think to ourselves, never, never. And then it's the final card that we can play in our maneuvers because it discards all our maneuvers. So it has to be the last card that we play on the maneuver side of things. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that card is for a different one of these factions, but not this class. We decided just Stunning Idea instead. Yeah, we had the choice. Discard all our maneuvers for damage or discard all our maneuvers to reduce armor. And we chose Reduce Armor. Reduce armor even further. And then with all the damage that we've managed to acquire, go all out. And then we realize, look, we don't even kill in round 1. The card left in our deck's an arrow bag, so we can't use the arrow bag. And that's all we got. Moving the camera to check out how much armor has actually been reduced. But without playing cards, my damage is pretty low. Again, Idea in our hand with no expensive cards to play. You really want to cast your Idea and play the most expensive maneuver to get the most energy efficiency out of it. Try to draw more cards to save me. And that's one thing that I will say. Use your items. Do not be stingy with your items. Throw them out. You're going to have so many of them, even before you level up your drop chance. But definitely level up your drop chance. If you're not doing that, do that with the Scientist. But just use your items. Put items in your quick slots that are not your best combat items. Put like your second and third best combat items there, so that you don't feel bad when you use them. You don't feel like you're wasting an incredibly strong resource. So we push our damage through. Oh, no, this was not the fight that broke us. No, it looks like we win this one handedly took no damage. I recognize the enemy patterns and the types of enemies. I was pretty sure it was one of those tainted rhinos that just made me lose my cool. Let's see. It's got to be this fight or the next fight. I'm just putting up so much block. This guy can never harm me. I didn't get any damage cards, but it kind of doesn't matter. And at this point, I still am kind of... I actually think that Spiritual Flurry was a bad pick at this point, because I don't understand how to use it. So I think I use it here. No, he died. But yeah, I'm like, was not only was this Desperate Act card a bad card. I keep trying to drag the book. My brain was in a weird place. Yeah, I think I picked 2 bad cards. So that also hits my brain in a weird way. I'm like, ah, man, I'm making this deck trash. There's no way that this is going to be the good run. You know, I'm going to have to do this again. We'll see. I decided to take the Blood Crystal before the boss, because I know the Blood Crystal can give pretty good buffs. And can sometimes even remove cards from your deck. And we're really looking to remove Bow Draw, because Bow Draw is garbage. Hold a bow and Bow Draw, that 2-sided card, do not get it. When Overdraw exists, why would that card exist? And don't tell me that the base cards in the base deck have to be bad, because Overwhelming Insight and Glimpse of Possibility is a base card. And that card pretty much lets this class do its thing and lets it go infinite. Terrible hand here. Do we spend our last energy to Acid Shot? Or do we use it on Idea to play way more maneuvers? Idea, Overwhelming Insight, everything gets reduced. Everything is free. Now we just go crazy and click all the buttons. And this is very powerful. What you're noticing here is all of my cards are in my hand. Having your entire deck in your hand is very, very useful, because then all of your maneuvers will gain the cost reduction from things like your talents, things like Overwhelming Insight, and there are also damage dealing cards. They get more powerful based on the number of cards played while they're in your hand. I think the card is called Shot of Destiny. Probably one of the most powerful cards, if not the best card in this whole class, Shot of Destiny. We draw a Desperate Act here after we discard. And we're like, what? Like, even with our damage percent bonus, it's like so worthless. Such a bad card. And then we realize that it discards itself, so you can't even have it flip and do the other side in the same round. You can only do one of the 2 sides. It's so bad. Do I hit the flip button just for damage bonus? I did. Wow. With no cards in hand to flip. Yeah, really not thinking my best. Oh, this tilts me. That tilted me so much that I couldn't kill all of them. I'm like, it's cool. I just kill the next one in the beginning of the next round. Oh wait, I don't draw any arrows. There we go. And we get to set ourselves up with Overwhelming Insight. I would actually say, after playing a little bit of Apostate, that it's better to have that card be Glimpse of Possibility when the fight starts than to be Overwhelming Insight, because it's very nice to use Glimpse of Possibility first to get a big hand, because it's kind of pointless to reduce the cost of all of the maneuvers in your hand when you only have like 2 other maneuvers. You need a big hand before you do it. So I get to forget finding... Oh, it looks like I've already removed, unbeknownst to me, I've already removed the Hold a Bow and Bow Draw cards. And I removed the one solution right after that. I'm like, I'm not playing around. I added you to my deck. I can remove you. I played you once and you were terrible. You're competing with another thing I'm trying to do. And you're out of there. Yeah, Stunning Idea, the card that I'm currently using to discard all of my maneuvers, makes the enemies lose armor permanently. That's huge. If I can't be playing Acid Shot due to energy restrictions, then I absolutely need to be reducing their armor some other way. So you see I use Idea, make Overwhelming Insight free, play Overwhelming Insight, get to play all of these maneuvers for free, and then since I've gathered up enough charges, I can click the button. That's going to flip Stunning Idea back to Idea, which will remain free, and flip Glimpse of Possibility over to Overwhelming Insight. So I can play Idea for free, and then play Overwhelming Insight for free, remaining at 2 energy, and getting another round of casts for all of my maneuvers. This is how you squeeze out the very powerful damage. Now, I still have 2 energy left. If I had other ways, due to things like talents, to gain extra energy or to keep flipping cards, I could keep going. I could flip Stunning Idea back to Idea. I could flip Glimpse back to Overwhelming Insight. And I could just keep casting the cards. And you will see that I will have 20, 30-minute first turns, no joke, especially when it gets to the secret final boss, where every turn seems like a 15-minute, 20-minute event. Yeah, you have a lot of cards to click. Do I use Spiritual Flurry here? I really should. Yeah, just to see what it's like. And I look at it and I'm like, is this it? Is this what I've done? I'm not sure if that impressed me. I don't think it did. There it is, the Shot of Destiny. I think it's an auto pick when you're an Apostate. I don't think it's even negotiable. You have to pick Shot of Destiny. Shot of Destiny gets stronger for every card you play before it. Still don't know what to do with the Confident Priestess. She's just doing her own thing.
Come.
We run into the training grounds. We're like, we're strong enough.
Come, train if this isn't exactly...
His tone, he looks...
Do what you want, but...
I read through this. I'm like, did I fail this somehow? Yeah, I have no idea what would have happened if I would have gotten the knight back to this guy, or if that's even possible. But I'm ready for the Hit Me With All You've Got. I actually have a hunch. I think Hit Me With All You've Got is easier than the fight that you pay money for. The second fight. I can't prove it because I haven't taken that fight enough, but I've always found the Hit Me With All You've Got is not nearly as hard as I found that very expensive fight to be when I fought it. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments if you know how hard that fight is. So we know that their damage is pretty high and we're prioritizing our defenses here. Doesn't look like we have a way to get a first turn kill. We want to play Acid Shot every chance we get. 50 armor reduction till the end of the fight is too big. And we use my favorite flute. Get some blocks. Very low damage on turn 1 though. But that's what it's like when we don't draw Overwhelming Insight or Glimpse of Possibility. That is how integral that card is to making our turns good. There it is. And we have a Shot of Destiny. Unfortunately, highly unfortunately, we won't have the energy to play it because we have to use Idea here so that we can play Overwhelming Insight for free and shore up the rest of our defenses. Might have been a better way that we could have done that, but we're realizing here now that we don't have the energy for the Shot of Destiny. That would have done a lot of damage. Probably just killed the backliner there. I think to myself, well, if I don't have enough energy for Shot of Destiny, then I am going to get as much damage percentage as I can. Remember, when my cards flip to their original side, I get a 100% damage bonus. So just flipping cards, like you see there, these Unbreakable Feints flipping to Feints, gives me a 100% increased damage. That's so much free damage. Really happy I could get that kill there. And then just a single shot, almost taking him down to half, makes me confident that I'm going to take this fight. And you always want to take this fight if you can, because it offers you a legendary rune. And even if the legendary rune isn't the one you're looking for, you can trade it out at the blacksmith for any rune you want, which is going to be a year rune. That's what it's going to be, but any rune you would like, but it's going to be a year rune. Trust me. That rune is not just busted on the Necromancer. These 0 mana cost arrow bags. I'm like, what am I even going to do with this? The correct answer is to use Spiritual Flurry after I've discarded my hand. I mean, he's dead no matter what. He's dead no matter what. But I'm just playing cards. Yep. 1,120 increased damage. I just kill him with shots. Still don't even need to use Spiritual Flurry. Yeah, we have a lot of overkill. Offered some cards here. I think Shot of Hope's pretty good. It'll allow me to draw into Glimpse of Possibility if I don't have it in my opening hand, and it won't cost me an energy to do so. Get some options here. This card makes us go off. We have two choices. Flipping cards grants -1 energy next turn, or flipping cards reduces the cost of a card in hand by 1 this turn. This turn is always better than next turn. This turn means that I can do all of my powerful things on turn 1. Next turn means that turn 2 is the first turn that I'm going to be able to really utilize the thing in question here. We get a Thorn. Thorn's pretty bad in general for what we're trying to do. So now we see that there's an enemy there that gets more powerful based on how much candlelight we have. And our light's pretty high. So we don't take the fight even though we're incredibly powerful and probably would just kill in round 1. For some reason we think we're smart and we run around. This was a very bad idea and a waste of candle. But we decide that we're going to take this fight now because we're big and strong. Now, the combination of being able to reduce random cards in my hand to 0 cost just by flipping and increasing my damage by 100% every time that my cards flip to their original face. These two things together will skyrocket my damage. Let's see if we can get a Glimpse of Possibility. And we have the Shot of Destiny in the opening hand. But it really doesn't look like we're going to be able to play it. Still don't have... Actually, no, we might be able to. Because remember, flipping cards could reduce the cost of Shot of Destiny. And we end up guaranteeing that we can reduce its cost eventually. See, our Unbreakable Feints got reduced to 0 there. And that made our Feints get reduced to 0. So they can leapfrog off of each other and continuously reduce the cost of another thing in hand, allowing you to just chain. Oh no, I think I really do play Shot of Destiny here. Because it doesn't take much. It doesn't take many cards that you got to play before Shot of Destiny before it just deals ridiculous amounts of damage. I think I hovered over it there and saw that it was going to just kill. Or it was very close. So I'm like, yeah, this dude's dead. If I just play all of my arrows in my hand and then Shot of Destiny him, he's dead. Turn 1. Bad hand. And we get pretty lucky with the treasures here. I think we get runestone slots each time. But that extra weapon slot's going to be very important. At first I used the lifesteal rune. I don't remember that I have it. And I don't play effectively with it, but it's nice to just gain a little bit of extra life, especially while I'm hurt. Plan to be sacrificing my life for a lot of these events as well. This is the fight. So I'm just realizing that I cut out through editing that fight where we got discouraged. I did want to leave it in just to kind of show how anybody can make mistakes and anybody can screw up. But I think that lesson is not only implicit in life in general, but these videos are going to be really long, as it is. This class takes a super long time to finish every single fight, regardless of if the fights end in turn 1 or not. I think that's the most frustrating thing about this class, is the fights all end in turn 1, but they still take 5 times longer than any other class. But yeah, I didn't include that footage, but I definitely did have one fight in this run. I think it was the fight around 30 minutes or so, where the first time I ran into it, I just got manhandled. I was playing my cards poorly. I ended up cutting out that footage, and I ended up shutting down the game for the night, actually. I went to sleep, woke up the next morning with a different attitude, a whole different approach. Really tried my hardest and knew that I kind of told myself, you're only doing this once. You know, I know you don't like this class, but you're only doing this once. Try as hard as you can. And I still end up kind of phoning it in at the very, very, very end, like the last couple turns of the final boss fight. But the proof of concept is more than there. So I really appreciate you guys sticking around, checking this out, and really getting to see the true power of the Apostate. And now, funnily enough, we walk right by this fight that we could have walked by initially, but we went the long way around because we thought we were trapped. We didn't even pay attention. But we finally make our way to Big Boy Golem. Let's see if we can get that turn 1 kill. That's a very good tainted card, weird card for getting the turn 1 kill. between that and our acid shot being free, we already have him down to 0 armor. We drew Glimpse of Possibility in our opening hand as well. Super, super good for trying for the turn 1 kill. And Shot of Destiny. We're not going to be able to play Shot of Destiny, though, unless we get really lucky. But lucky we're going to have to get. So we're banking on that passive, reducing the cost of Shot of Destiny. And right there, very first card, Shot of Destiny gets reduced. Now that Shot of Destiny is 0, this boss is dead. He's fully dead. There's very, very little chance that he's going to live through this if I do this correctly. So I'm just planning out exactly how I want my damage to go. I think I did that just so that I could draw with the cards that I'm playing, so I could have all my cards in my hand. Didn't think that was necessary, but maybe it was. I think it was. I think the last card in my draw pile is a very good card. Yeah, I think it's that Quiver that I added to the deck. Yeah, it is. Yep, I'm trying to play enough cards to get to that Quiver. And make it free. Yep, there it is. So now, as I play cards, there's a chance that that Quiver just becomes free. Just like the Shot of Destiny did. Alright, ran into a brick wall. Time to use the idea Overwhelming Insight. And the shots became free. So I just play out all my cards again. Gain as much damage bonus as I can. Then you do want to kill these little side golems if you're doing it this way, because you get a card in your hand that allows you to smack the big golem for a lot of damage. We use our Stunning Insight to reduce the armor even further. We're like, what am I supposed to do with Glimpse of Possibility here? Yeah, no, it's time to start killing the little guys, yep, because this card does way more damage. I know I'm going to be playing the card that allows me to get a lot of weak shots, so I choose to do this. I want to use one of the weak shots on that last little golem. And I'm clearing space in my hand to make sure I don't overdraw. As you can see, this golem is super, super dead. Super dead. He almost died even without me playing Shot of Destiny. But Shot of Destiny is going to overkill by a huge amount here. I'm trying to keep my cursor away from it because I just don't want to see the number. Alright, I've done it all. Show me the number. Whew. That's a number. That's his full life total before I started dealing damage to him. Goodbye. And that's our Act 1. Our first area. We think about taking Bombardment. We're like, maybe this is the maneuver that deals damage that I can take. And then I start thinking to myself, the last thing that I do is discard all maneuvers in my hand. There's no way possible that I can play Bombardment after I play Stunning Insight. And there's no way I would want to play Bombardment before I play Stunning Insight, because the enemies wouldn't have reduced armor. So no, there's just no reason to take maneuvers that deal damage on this class, I think. I really search hard in my brain for a reason to. I think I hit the reroll here because it's pretty cheap and I have a lot of money. I think I hit the reroll and I hit something really good, actually. Come on, past self. Oh, you're thinking about it. Oh, it's moving. The curse is moving. Nice. Yes, and we do hit somersault, which I highly recommend for doing this kind of a build. Somersault draws maneuvers for you, and in the future flips of it, it draws even more maneuvers and makes them lower cost. So somersault is kind of like a glimpse of possibility. It can't really make you combo like glimpse of possibility, but it can let you fill up your hand. And it's always nice to have another card that'll let you fill up your hand. Somersault. Thank you guys so much for chilling and listening. If you found this educational or entertaining, definitely hit the like button. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. We're going to be trying to get the true Apostate number 2 out as soon as possible, so just hang tight. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace. Peace.